What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about my WNBA 2025 All-Star predictions and expectations. But before we do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment, tell anyone about the show. Trying to get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the All-Star Game predictions for the WNBA 2025. And it should be a good one. We got a couple of teams, couple of players to talk about because they've already made the selections as you see here. But what makes my All-Star selection before we get into the names, right? Well, I'm going to just say there's about 23 games you got to play. So I'd like to see my All-Stars play about 15 games. 15 is the number that I said. I might show a little leeway, but 15, I would really like it if you hit 15, okay? Then also your individual stats, they need to be All-Star-esque, right? Like you'll see what they look like as we talk more about them. And then your team success, that does factor in if we're going to talk about who we're going to shortchange, who we're going to snub. So with that being said, I want to talk about the captains, then the starters, then the reserves, then the snubs, and then concluding with the winners. So with that being said, the captains, which were based on the fan votes, we got Napheesa Collier and Caitlin Clark. All right, Caitlin Clark had the most. Fee went second. So tip of the cap to both of them. Good job, ladies. You know what I'm saying? The fans voted y'all as the captains. Now, the starters, ladies and gentlemen, we have as follows. Paige Bueckers, Caitlin Clark, as I said, Alicia Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, Aaliyah Boston, Napheesa Collier, like I mentioned, Satou Sabally, Nneka Ogwumike, Brianna Stewart, and Asia Wilson, of course. Now, the starters, quite decent. The reserves, not bad either. We have Alyssa Thomas, Ryan Howard, Skylar Diggins, Angel Reese, Courtney Williams, Gabby Williams, Jackie Young, Kayla Thornton, Kelsey Mitchell, Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriefin, and Kelsey Plum. Now, the captains. I have a gripe with the captains, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I have a gripe with the captains is because this. Caitlin Clark's only played 10 games, point in time. And I told y'all my threshold for All-Stars is 15. Now, if she plays all of her games up until the All-Star game, she will have played 14 games. That's tough. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of her being the All-Star captain. Because at the time, she had 9 games. So I would have liked to see the third person, the person with the third most fan votes, be the captain instead of Caitlin Clark. Which would have, in fact, been her teammate, Aaliyah Boston. So, you know what, Fever fans, you still get selected as the captains, all right? Now, here's my thing. Now we got the captains out of the way again, cool. Starters for Paige. Tip of the cap to Paige because, well, she's the 6th rookie to start in the WNBA's All-Star game. That's not bad. All-Star performance expectations. Thinking about 8 to 10 points, 6 to 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. We'll throw in like a turnover. You know what I'm saying? But I'm expecting that. Those won't be bad stats at all. And she could eclipse those. She very well could. But again, those are my expectations. Now, when we talking about the reserves, well, I'm sorry. Let me stay on the starters real quick because I gotta talk. I talked about the rookies. Let me give some love to the vets. You know what I'm saying? Because Nneka, this is your 10th season, 3rd most all time, behind Sue Bird and DT. That's lovely. So you got tip of the cap. And if she plays in the All-Star games for about 4 more seasons, she'll be number 1. Dang, I keep thinking I have my Nneka jersey on. That's crazy. But it's okay because we talking about the All-Star selection. So I might as well have her jersey up there. I might as well hold this up there as her jersey. Hell, she doing her thing. So, again, Nneka, tip of the cap to you. You always got a special place in my heart. Speaking of vets, though, when we slide on down to the reserves, ladies and gentlemen, Kayla Thornton. This is her first All-Star. And I love this for her because over 11 seasons, this is her first All-Star. And it's with the Valkyries in their first season. Keep in mind, Kayla Thornton is a WNBA champion. Like, she's someone who's been a solid role player in the WNBA, but also something that spoke volumes to me too. She was waived her second season. So the fact that she was able to come back and have an all-star career, have a solid career, I love that for Kayla. So I'm definitely going to try to make a highlight package for Kayla because I love this type of storyline for people. I'm telling you right now. So you got to watch her. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the point where we got to talk about the snubs. We do. Yeah, we do. Oh my gosh. Like, for example, was Skylar Diggins Smith, I'm sorry, was Skylar Diggins, oops, my bad. Was Skylar Diggins snubbed as a starter? Now, keep in mind, I talked about Paige Bueckers and, being a starter, the sixth rookie to start, cool. Could we have actually replaced either Caitlin Clark or Paige Bueckers? Because, let's use Paige as an example, right? Skylar was 7th in scoring and 4th in assists. Her team was higher than the Wings, too. Now, Paige was 11th in scoring and 6th in assist. Feel like Skylar could have gotten a starter spot. Or, how about someone like Alyssa Thomas? Well, she stubbed the starter spot. Now, keep in mind, Satou Sabally is starting, and Satou is number 1 in scoring and rebounding on her team. So I get those are the highlighting stats, right? But let's not forget too, Alyssa Thomas is 2nd in scoring, rebounding, and steals and blocks, which she's tied for, and then she's 1st in assists on her team, which is number 2 in the WNBA. I feel like that could have been starter-esque. But then you got to ask me, okay, well, who am I going to try to take off? And it does get a little tricky. So I do hear you, but somebody could have got the boot. I don't know. It might be Satou or Nneka. I don't know. That's tough to say though, because again, Nneka's been, I don't know, bro. That's tough. Nneka top 5, but Alyssa top 5 too. It's tough. How about someone like Brittany Sykes? Because like Sonya Citron, Kiki Irief, and they deserve to be in the All-Star selection. I understand that. You say they deserve it. I hear that. Brittany Sykes, I've always said, is the WNBA star just without the cachet, and this is a fine example of why I say that. Again, the efficiency is probably what brings her down, but again, ladies and gentlemen, Brittany Sykes was giving me 19 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.1 steals, and 0.4 blocks. Like, she was leading. She's the leader of this team. It just sucks that we can't give her the All-Star selection. I get it. It's only so many selections, but damn, Brittany, you got the vote for you got the vote for me. Trust me. All right. Azurá Stevens, Dearica Hamby, were they snubbed? Initially, when I had 24 selections, I did include them. If I had to take off the last 2, I will say they were my last 2. So, Dearica, Azurá, y'all was on that cusp. I'm not gonna say snub. It's a close call though. It was tough. You know what I'm saying? Your stats was cool. We close to the bottom too though. So I hear it too though. The Wings, right? The Wings, they got a whole starter in there. Well, that brings me to Arike. Arike didn't get a start. She didn't get a reserve spot, ladies and gentlemen. Arike Ogunbowale not in the All-Star game is wild to hear. All right. But that's the world we live in today. And now it makes you think, dang, Arike's team is at the bottom. She ain't an all-star. I know I've talked about earlier if the organization is going to try to trade her, should Arike want out? Granted, I'm sure she likes playing with Paige from a timeline perspective, though, does it really fit? So that I hate that too. Because again, this is affecting the individual production, which Arike is a bucket, ladies and gentlemen. So I really hate the fact that she couldn't be an all-star this year. And for full disclosure, she was an all-star for me. Yes, sir. And then, Kayla McBride not getting selected apparently rubbed people the wrong way. Especially, the Lynx are doing pretty well this year. And Kayla's played she's hit the game threshold. Like, her stats ain't bad. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, though, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna give you my reserves because the starters, y'all heard my gripe about the starters, really the captains, or one of the captains, Caitlin Clark, right? But that's only game threshold, by the way. Not talking game threshold, meaning how many games they played. My reserves were gonna be this: Alyssa Thomas, Ryan Howard, Arike Ogunbowale, Skylar Diggins, Angel Reese, Courtney Williams, Gabby Williams, Jackie Young, Kayla Thornton, Kelsey Mitchell, Brittany Sykes, and Kelsey Plum. So my differences were Arike and Brittany instead of Sonia and Kiki. It's the main differences. Those are the two differences. If you want to take Caitlin Clark because the game's out, cool. Then we could talk about either an Azure or De'Erica, something like that. But y'all might say Sonia or Kiki. I'm curious. But again, those are my reasonings. Those are my snubs. Which some of those I don't know about. Because, for example, I didn't have Kayla as an all-star. I didn't. No disrespect. There were just other people. For example, Gabby Williams. She might not be the star of the team, but ladies and gentlemen, she is leading the WNBA in steals with like 2.6. Did I get that right? That's tough. That's tough. So again, it is levels to this. Not everybody can make the list. I understand why some people did not make the cut. Maybe not a Rike, but like, okay, maybe I get it too. Actually, I don't really get it. I'm trying to understand. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard my gripes. Y'all heard my positives about that. Should be a wonderful one to tune into. So I hope y'all watching it. But we got to talk about the winner predictions, right? Because the winners, well, it should be a solid time, right? So I'm going to just say I'm rocking with Team Collier on this one, okay? Reason why, bro, they got 4 of the top 5 players on their team. Like 4 of the top 5 players on their squad. Easy. Like, if you don't think that's going to be a problem, okay. And let's throw in too, they have less rookies on their team. So yeah, the rookies have been balling this year. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I'd rather have experienced vets still in their primes in comparison to the rookies. But maybe that's just me though. Maybe that's just me. Because again, I gotta admit, these girls have been hooping this year. So ladies and gentlemen, that y'all heard my teams. Y'all heard my selections. Y'all heard my gripes. I am curious what y'all all think about the episode and the selections. Are y'all happy with the selections? Are y'all curious? Do y'all agree with me that Caitlin Clark shouldn't be a starter or a captain? Granted, again, she was voted to be so cool. But should there be like a games played for all stars? I thought so. I personally thought so. But maybe that's just me. I'd like to know from y'all. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, that does conclude the end of the episode. So I definitely greatly appreciate y'all for listening. And like I said, we'll be tuning in a little bit more for the WNBA All-Star game. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We'll give a final episode, final predictions. I'll probably go into a little more detail about each individual player, right, and what I'm looking for, and then also the post reaction as well too. I'll have that probably in the same episode. But be on the lookout for that. But I hope you all are enjoying the episode. Hope you all are enjoying the WNBA season, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure to continue to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.